We are in a war. Most people have no idea that the war is happening, and when you speak to them, they reject the notion. However, there's a war. The war is clearly described in the Bible. However, the people that we are at war with read the Bible to us. We are at war with a nation of aliens. And the crazy thing about it is we are the aliens to this realm. It's not only that we are at war with the alien nation, there are ones among ourselves that have gone over to the other side. We are at war with a nation of Wiccans as well. So we have aliens and we have Wiccans that we are at war against. And people are like, that is too absurd for me to relate to, for me to understand. I see the practical life. Well, there is a hidden world, just like Satan describes to Jesus in Matthew. That hidden world, some of us can see and others cannot. And this video is a glimpse of the hidden world.
In Buffalo, the community surrounding that store is grieving. Some have lost their neighbors, family, and friends. Reporter Walker Graham is there tonight in that community, continuing our team coverage.
Good evening to you from Buffalo, the northeast side of town. Tonight, as FBI investigators continue to process the scene inside Tops Friendly Market, community members reflect on how they feel. There's a lot of sadness, a lot of anger, too, over the racism they say fueled 18-year-old Peyton Gentren's actions.
And I believe we have Brandon joining us now. And my friend, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you're super busy today working on your stories and filing your report for 5 o'clock. You have got to break it down for us. I mean, I know as a reporter, you're there to cover the story, but as Brandon Walker, the man, in the midst of all of that on Friday, what was going through your heart and your mind, man?
Well, thank you all for having me. That's a really good question. What was going through my heart and my mind? At times, two separate, at times, the same conversation. As a reporter, you often want to make sure, particularly when you're in live situations where everything is fluid, it's your job to tell the people who are watching at home what's going on. In that situation, though, where there's so much going on, it's really hard for you to do that. So what was going through my mind as a reporter at that point was making sure I color by numbers. So by that, I mean just say what I see. And from there, also allow people a chance to speak, because that was also part of the frustration. And I remember thinking throughout the coverage that I was tanking, essentially, because I wasn't asking enough questions. But then my gut kept telling me, no, it really isn't for you to ask questions. It's for you to give people a chance to say what they say they haven't been able to say. And so that was our approach, that coupled with coloring by numbers. But the other aspect, Courtney, was the context here. And so how to fill the coverage with context based on what we see as reporters, what we see when we're covering. I cover a fair amount of cases at the courthouse. So who am I seeing in line and why are they there? The trials I've covered, the stories people have shared with me throughout the course of my experience here in Houston as a reporter. So I'm thinking about all of that as I try to put into context what I'm seeing, letting you know that, an opportunity to listen to what people are saying, but also just what we've seen as reporters out in the field and how that has contributed to the conversation or the argument that was at hand.
And Brandon, I know that as a reporter, when you're on the scene, especially in a protest scenario, so much is going on around you. George Floyd's girlfriend, Courtney, she has mentioned that he would be devastated by what's happening, and that he, you know, in terms specifically about the looting and the violence that has resulted over the past few days. Houston has been described as having relatively peaceful protests when you look at what's been happening in other cities around America, Boston, D.C., Los Angeles. What level of frustration did you see on Friday? Because I know we saw a police cruiser with smashed out windows, but is it fair to say, in general, we were quite peaceful in our protests?
Yes, and most of the reporting has contributed to that. Of course, there was damage to report from the scene there Friday, late afternoon, early evening, but also into the night, Saturday and Sunday. We were looking at video now from the 6 o'clock newscast on Friday. This is my first time seeing this. I haven't seen any of the archives. To answer your question about frustration, Derek, yeah, I mean, for people, there was as you can see there, on one side, there were people, on the other side, the Houston Police Department, and from what I saw at that vantage point, at least, was just people explaining to officers who were there about how they feel and why they were out there. You can see the ground there. We were talking about the throwing of water bottles, and you just learn in live reporting to keep your head just kind of on a swivel, so you just constantly look at what's going on, because at times you're also the eyes for your photographer, who's also the eyes for you when you can't see when you're on live TV, so that communication's taking place as well. Things you don't see when I step out of the frame, I'm communicating with him, so a lot of that was going on, and that's what you kind of see here as well. But as far as frustrations go, Derek, I mean, you just saw a lot of people talking to officers about what they felt.
And Brandon, you've had a couple days, you know, obviously this is your job, right? This is the job that you've wanted. It's your job to go out and tell the stories and be that reporter in the field. And when you go home, though, and you take off the reporter jacket and you hang up your microphone for the day, you've had a couple days to let this sink in. What does Brandon Walker think about all of this when you are witnessing what you witnessed firsthand downtown Houston?
Well, I didn't sleep much Friday night into Saturday, and I remember just this absolute stillness cloaking me all day Saturday and into Sunday. So it was a pretty, I will say, different weekend for me. You know, speaking to a 19-year-old about seeing his dad be pulled over and having him describe to you the fear that he felt, that lingers no matter who you are. For me, it just made me think about some instances I experienced growing up and some instances I experienced to this day. I remember thinking of a matter involving my dad outside our house once, and he was they were looking for a suspect, and somehow their eyes were on him for no reason, and he was pinned to the ground outside his house with his sons looking. And so these are things that people don't forget, and those experiences have to be brought to the forefront of the conversation because they affect how you interact with people in positions of authority. But even bigger than that, it affects how you see yourself. And so those were the conversations I had with myself throughout the weekend, but also with some very good friends who feel the same way.
It's interesting, Brandon, to hear you recount those personal experiences. We had a friend visiting from Dallas this weekend. Courtney, I told you this earlier. Our friend Lem, who is black, and in his neighborhood, they've been looking for a suspect who's been breaking into vehicles. And we had this conversation where he essentially just laid out the racial profiling fears that he has and so many of our peers have on a daily basis. He's concerned about walking outside his front door every day because he may be identified as a suspect just based on his skin color. So it seems that none of us can accept this as normal moving forward, Brandon.
Yeah, again, I think it goes back to listening to what folks have to say. You may not agree with them, but through having a conversation about difference, we can figure out solutions, but there has to be an open ear on the receiving end. And I think of some of the folks we interviewed from the ground Friday, and you hear, the frustration, I can feel the tenor and tone with which they spoke to me to this day at this hour right now. And there wouldn't be that frustration if ultimately they felt sincerely that someone was listening to them.
Absolutely. Well, Brandon Walker, proud to call you a friend and a colleague. I know you've got a busy day ahead of you. Thanks for your perspective. Glad you're safe, glad you're healthy, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
As night fell in Buffalo, prayers lifted hope that the pain will pass.
It's my plan to go visit each and every family that has lost somebody.
Healing will take time, says New York Assemblywoman Crystal Peoples-Stokes, Majority Leader of the New York State Assembly. Peoples-Stokes hugged in the street next to the grocery store in her neighborhood. She's sad, also angry.
People would travel from their own community, where they're safe at, to mine to come and hurt people in such a horrific way.
Chelsea Williams works at a nearby hospital, said she had to come see for herself.
He came to a grocery store. This could have been any store.
But it was the Tops at Jefferson and Riley, likely intentional, stress officials because of the neighborhood's majority black composition.
The slogan around there is like Buffalo's a city of good neighbors. And so to see something like this happen here in this community is just surreal for me, and I never thought I would see something like that around here. You see it at other places around the country.
Lanice Lewis brought a bouquet of flowers to one of many memorials. Lewis's grief deepened by her thoughts. She says her son called her Saturday, asking if she knew what had happened at their neighborhood grocery store.
I broke down crying. I said, I was on my way there, but I kept procrastinating at home. So I believe my life was spared.
Sadness grips the block, the city. Anger has a place here too, said Tony Arrington.
It becomes tiring. I have little brothers, I have little sisters, and it's scary to even go out to the grocery store to provide meals for my family because I'm scared of what can happen.
Witnesses described hearing 20 or more gunshots Saturday. Investigators say that they will continue to collect and process evidence inside this store. They say that they're in the early stages of what will be a very lengthy investigation. Reporting from Buffalo, New York, I'm Brandon Walker. Back to you.
Here in Central Florida, lawmakers and community members also say that they are outraged over the shooting. News 6's Jerry Askin is talking to them tonight. Jerry.
Eric, good evening. And right now, here in Central Florida, many elected leaders are weighing in. Some, in fact, calling for more restrictions when it comes to accessing assault weapons. I spoke also to a local black community leader who said these accusations are not okay.
It does. It hurts. It weighs on you. That's not how you want life to end.
The outrage and frustration extending here to Central Florida after investigators say 18-year-old Peyton Gendron opened fire at this grocery store in Buffalo, New York Saturday, killing 10 people and injuring several others. Authorities said 11 victims were black, and they're calling the attack a hate crime.
Brothers and sisters, we're people. Stop trying to take people out because of the color of their skin.
And as someone that's done so much work in the Orlando community in Central Florida to bring about equality and justice, where do we go from here?
We have to keep a movement going of people to understand that there's still racial biases. There's still people that have bigoted behavior, and we need to push it out.
And many of our lawmakers from Central Florida are reacting too, including Florida State Representative Anna Escamani of Orlando.
Time and time again, we see these acts of gun violence, often motivated by some form of hate and otherness perpetuated towards groups who are different. It's incredibly heartbreaking.
And Florida State Representative Randy Fine of Brevard County said in part, quote, "In the aftermath of this horrific attack, we must unite to fight those so full of hate they will kill those unlike them," end quote. And U.S. Congresswoman Val Demings of Orlando tweeting in part, quote, "We must do more to build a nation where all people are safe. I know we can do better for our communities and our children." Gendron now charged with first-degree murder. He pled not guilty and remains behind bars in Buffalo, New York on no bond. Reporting live in the studio, Jerry Askin, Getting Results, News 6.
Are you looking for work? Temporary work where you make over $150,000 for your performance? Want to travel the world? Go to Australia, Europe, or the USA? Well, lights, camera, action. All you need to do is play dead for the ditto heads. Only one requirement. You need to be a Druidic witch.
Florida state representative has apparently fired an aide who claimed that some of the survivors of the Parkland school shooting were crisis actors. These students have been very vocal about stricter gun control and holding rallies for lawmakers to take action. Benjamin Kelly, who worked as a district secretary for Republican Representative Sean Harrison, emailed a reporter claiming some of the students who were on TV were actors. One of the students accused of being an actor is David Hogg, who says the rumors are simply not true.
These people saying this is absolutely disturbing, and I'm not an actor in any sense, way, shape, or form. I go to Stoneman Douglas High School, and I was a witness to this. I'm not a crisis actor. I'm somebody that had to witness this and live through this, and I continue to have to do that.
And David Hogg is a student journalist at the high school television station.
On the day of the shooting, I got my camera and got on my bike and rode as fast as I could 3 miles from my house to the school to get as much video and get as many interviews as I could, because I knew that this could not be another mass shooting. And I don't want this just to be another mass shooting. I want this to be the last mass shooting.
Wow, David, you are a well-spoken young man. Where were you yesterday when the shooting started?
So yesterday I was in my AP Environmental Science class. We had just taken out all of our notes and we were about to pack up to leave school, and we hear a pop. And it happened to be a gunshot that echoed through the hallway. And because of that, my teacher actually went and closed the door. But as soon as she closed the door, the fire alarm was pulled. So this sick man could come and get more soft targets. Silly, not thinking critically. We walked outside, and that's when he started taking down even more people because of the fire alarm going off. And luckily, when we were actually going out to our fire evacuation zone, and as we were headed out there, a flood of people started running in the opposite direction, saying, go this way, go this way. So I followed the herd, and as we were running like in this one direction, we happened to be running towards the shooter. But thank God there was a janitor there that told us not to go any further, because there was because the gunman was right there. And he got us all into one classroom with the help of Chef Kurth. And as a result of that, I think they saved easily like 40 lives that day, just with 1 minute of action. And that's what I really want to push through, is the fact that just 1 small minute of action can make a huge difference. And that's what I want people at home to know. They can make a difference in their community. They can make a difference in the world. They can do that by calling out their congressmen, talking to government legislators, and letting them know this is not acceptable, because everybody is getting used to this, and that's not okay. There have been 18 more mass shootings than there needed to be this year at schools, and that's way more than we need, and it needs to come to an end, because the next thing you know, if you let this keep happening, it's going to be your kid that's next.
Welcome to the abortion of a movie called Lone, starring David Hogg, Delaney Tarr, Cameron Kasky, Ryan Deitch. These Fad Four have repeatedly and ferociously denied they are, or have ever been, actors, in any way, shape, or form. We will see about that. I have not edited Lone in any way. It came to me without any sound, so I added a soundtrack. Be warned, this movie makes Vanilla Sky look like a Shakespearean masterpiece. Ryan Deitch, Cameron Kasky, Delaney Tarr, Ryan Deitch, David Hogg, Ryan Deitch. Guess who likes the ladies? Delaney Tarr. Cameron Kasky. Not only did these actors lie about them being actors, but isn't odd that the exact 4 actors in this movie, Lone, are the exact 4 activist actors the press holds up as heroes and considers them as the clairvoyant messiahs of all that is knowable? That's quite the coincidence, don't you think?
Meantime, UFO sightings in New York have nearly doubled since the pandemic began, and we are getting new video from the Navy showing pyramid-shaped objects flying in the sky. Brian Yennis is live for us in Brooklyn, New York. Brian, good morning.
Trace, good morning. This extraordinary video and images of unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, were leaked to investigative reporter Jeremy Corbell and investigative reporter George Knapp. This night vision video purportedly shows 3 pyramid-shaped UFOs flying over the USS Russell off the coast of California in July of 2019. At one point, these UFOs reportedly hovered just 700 feet above the tail of the Navy destroyer, making, quote, extraordinary maneuvers. Now, Corbell says the unclassified video is part of a classified government report intended to educate officials about unidentified crafts flying over restricted airspace. These cell phone photos taken by a FA-18 pilot in March of 2019 show 3 different unidentified aircrafts off the coast of Oceania, including 2 UFOs dubbed the Metallic Blimp and another called the Sphere. A Department of Defense spokesperson said, quote, "I can confirm that the referenced photos and videos were taken by Navy personnel. The Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force has included these incidents in their ongoing examinations." However, the Pentagon was unwilling to confirm these 3 photos, which Corbell says came from the USS Omaha, showing a UFO diving into the ocean and disappearing.
It's right there. You got him, right? You got him? Yes, I'm getting it. Oh my God.
This is 6:4 of the King James Version. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. Now, the sons of God came into the daughters of men, okay? After they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Okay, the famous people, that's what the men of renown means. But let me take you to Genesis 6:4 and to another version of the Bible. Keep in mind, there were giants in the earth in those days. Here is the American Standard Version. The Nephilim were in the earth in those days. So you take it to another version, it says that the giants were the Nephilim. Some people know this, some people don't. If you read the Bible, if you just read one version of the Bible, you won't know this. Some Bibles say giants / Nephilim, and they'll say it within the same sentence that the giants are the Nephilim. You won't find that in the King James Version of the Bible. You just find the word giants. Okay, so they were in the earth in those days, also after that. Again, they're called the sons of God, came into the daughters of men. Take you on to the same scripture. This is Genesis 6:4, Living Bible. Those days and afterwards, evil beings from the spirit world were sexually involved with human women. Okay, now it's saying that evil beings from the spirit world, and it replaces, just like they're saying that the Nephilim were involved, says that the giants were involved. Okay, now these are evil spirit world beings. They're evil spirits that we're up against. I'm going to take you, this is other just versions of Genesis 6:4. Okay, they're the warriors of renown, the heroes, the giants.
Knee in his neck and just sat on him and didn't carry it on. He screamed, "Mama, mama, I can't breathe, I can't breathe," and they didn't care. So I just don't understand what more we got to go through in life, man. They didn't have to do that to him. He's a gentle giant.
We are in a war. We're not aware of the war, and I'm going to show you a little bit as we go into this video of what we are up against. Now, this is Genesis 1:21 through 1:25. This is the King James Version of the Bible that I'm taking you through. And God created whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind. Okay, there was another that was there. And every winged fowl after his kind. Okay, so the winged fowls are his kind, and the whales, the mammals, are their kind. Take you into 1:25. Again, this is King James Version of the Bible. God made the beast of the earth after his kind, cattle after their kind. Again, the mammals, their kind. Everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. Everything that creeps, like reptiles and insects, are after his kind. Very important to know, especially when you're watching through these videos. Now I'm going to show you this here is the family of the man that was killed in Minneapolis. They want redemption for his death. The police officers being fired, they're saying in this video, isn't enough. I'm going to take you through the whole video, but what it is, you look at her, okay? They do transformations right in front of us. Where I first learned about this from was Netflix. There was a video that I watched many years ago, and he said, you can find these aliens by watching their videos, slowing them down. He was a film director, and I couldn't tell you what the video is, and it was just, by a chance that I watched it, just flicking through Netflix. This is some amazing stuff that you're going to see in this one. Going to this next photo, see how her face is like transforming like a reptile. Go into the next one, look at how they're all deformed, but look at the back. The back is all perfect. The man in the back that they're filming is perfect. The guy next to him is perfect too. The poles, the archway, the elevator in back, the door in back, everything is imperfect, but they're deforming. Why? Because they're spirit beings. And look at this. This in the middle, it looks like there's an angel coming out of this woman's face, or some type of a spirit, and it looks like it has wings, 2 white wings. As I'll take that a little bit closer into this picture here. Look, it looks like there's wings coming off, and it's like a woman with an extended arm, and then you go down, and it looks like there's a wicked face in the middle. Something crazy. And again, you're going to watch this whole video at the end. All right, on to these next ones here, more of the same. Crazy look, and this is how it distorts. And then look, it distorts into this beast. The guy in the red shirt, he glitches constantly throughout the whole video. You can watch him, you'll see him glitch crazy, abnormally, of course, to our understanding, over and over throughout this video. Again, you're going to see this throughout the video, all these images, what they're looking to do. This is the Nephilim looking to have us fight against each other, saying, hey, it's black skin versus white skin, okay, but you're positive blood, okay, it's the Rh negative bloodline that wants to lead us to war. And if you need more evidence, I have more videos online for you to watch. And please, all of you that do watch this video and do understand, please, what I also want you to know is that the word Jew has a root word from Judean. What a Judean is an original inhabitant of the land. The original inhabitant of this land were the Nephilim. They were the giants. If you read the beginning of the Bible, starting in Numbers, where Moses assembles the children of Israel to go and take over the land of the giants, the Canaanites. Okay, they go in and they slaughter the giants. And notice in this video, when he talks about his brother, he says that he was a gentle giant. And something to grab onto. It's the Nephilim.
Let's talk about what's going on. Both the FBI, the Minnesota Department of Public Safety
are investigating George's death. The 4 officers involved have been fired, which the mayor of Minneapolis said was the right call. But is that enough for your family, Philonise?
No, not at all. I love my brother. Everybody loves my brother. Knowing my brother is to love my brother. They could have tased him. They could have maced him. Instead, they put their knee in his neck and just sat on him and didn't carry on. He screamed, "Mama, mama, I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And they didn't care. So I just don't understand what more we got to go through in life, man. They didn't have to do that to him. He's a gentle giant. He don't hurt anybody. He give his last to anybody. They didn't care. They treated him worse than they treat animals, and I wouldn't like that. They took a life, now they deserve life. I don't feel sorry for them. They hurt me and they hurt my family. I can't take nothing back. I can't get my brother back. They at home, they sleep, they with their wives, they got kids. If something like that happened to them, they'll be just like me. I just don't know what's going on now.
So firing them is a good start, but we want to see justice for our family. And we want to see them charged. We want to have them arrested. They need to be charged with, because what they did was murder. And almost the whole world has witnessed that because somebody was gracious enough to report it.
The connection, we lost it for a second. You said you want to see them charged. Did you say charged with murder? Is that what you said?
We want to see them charged with murder. And we want them to be convicted. We want them arrested. They need to pay for what they did. He didn't deserve what happened to him. And they didn't do anything to help him. They were supposed to be there to serve and to protect. And I didn't see a single one of them lift a finger to do anything to help. While he was begging for his life, not one of them tried to do anything to help him. That I didn't see. What I did see was murder. And that's what I want them to be arrested and charged and convicted for.
Ben, I haven't forgotten about you, so hold on. I'm not going to forget about you. I just want to continue on with the family just for a little bit. Okay. So, Rodney, hold up that's your brother's photo, right?
Yes, it's him.
Rodney's holding up his brother's. Yeah, I can see it. It's got a little bit of a glare on it. If you can just bend it down, there you go. And you guys have a house full there. Who all is there with you, helping you get through this?
Family. All my nieces, my cousins, we're all here. It's just like my wife. It's just like my brothers and sisters. They all like that to me. It's bigger than the nieces and stuff like that and cousins. We all come up together.
We put the picture up that you're holding up, so we had it up on screen. So you're good, Rodney. The reason I ask is because, you know, I said that we had we had 2 viruses that's infecting America strongly right now, and that is COVID and racism. COVID-19, racism 20. Can you explain to America when people protest over criminal justice and police brutality and racism, can you explain, as someone who's going through this, as someone who's dealing with it, to America, what that feels like and why people are out there protesting for the very thing that happened to your loved one?
I think, frankly, people are really tired of seeing this happen time and time again, and we're just not seeing justice for these people who are losing their lives, and it just shouldn't happen. And so I think a lot of people can't get angry about it until it touches them or it's their family member. But what we're seeing is people at large are really tired of seeing this happen and justice not being served.